the sons and daughters look around and see the wondrous thing that Jah done around. The birds and the puppies in a cool place of rest. And even the waters flow, and the shining rainbow beyond the frosty clouds. You know, Jah alone can give us satisfaction. Fill our heart with love, season of creation. Jah alone can give us satisfaction. Fill our heart with love. Nothing is wrong that Jah made. Everything is perfect, and He leads the way all day. Jah is all I need to make everything that's going like you read. Jah alone can give us satisfaction. Fill our heart with love. Jah alone can give us satisfaction. Fill our heart with love. Jah know it's true. Jah alone can give us satisfaction to satisfy my soul. Fill our heart. I don't wanna be left out of Zion Gate. I don't wanna be left out of Zion Gate. I don't wanna be shut out of Zion Gate. I need Jah near to live in His love and fear. Jah alone can give us satisfaction. Fill my heart with love. Jah alone can give us satisfaction. Fill our heart with love.
Pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web, a pleasant good night to you. Yes, of course, we have Senator Wade Mark and Rudy Indal Singh, of course, the representative, the parliamentary representative for Cuba South. Yes, it is. But who, of course, will be gracing us with their presence tonight as far as our telephone communications are concerned. Let me say, of course, but that we had a wonderful time on the ground report this morning. Yes, I was present as duty will demand and dictate. But once again, a pleasant good night to all and sundry. East, West, North, South, Central, our friends in Tobago. And wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web, a pleasant good night or good day to you. Yes, indeed. This is the corridor transformation.
He referred to Burt, Young, and Hines as
Yes, indeed. We will be attempting to get to our first interview one time, because we are at a constraint for time. So we'll start with Senator Wade Mark. And then, of course, we'll go farther afield to, of course, in Dao Singh. Let's go straight there and see what is happening. Yes, indeed. Well, of course, in the meantime, a number of things are happening. So the Waitmark was called in the parliament by the Senate president, saying that he's politicking. So it will be very, very interesting as to those developments. I'm raring and really excited to ask him on what basis that statement was made, and what did he do to contribute to such a statement, asking, of course, with Mark not to use the Senate for political purposes. Well, I mean, let's face it. Common sense will tell you it is a election year confirmed by Dr. Rowley himself, and therefore one doesn't expect anything less at this time. So if it is that it is in the parliament, out of the parliament, it doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is that it is an election year. So let's see. Let's go again. So, of course, you heard him last night, of course, committing to tonight. But, in politics, a day is plenty. And, things can happen that may not make him be available at this particular time. So if
Yeah,
that...
hello.
Oh, all right, okay. So I was just making a nice excuse for you, but since you have answered, pleasant good night to you, Senator.
Yes, yes, good night, good night. How long would you need me on this
I
program
know
for?
as long as you have time. Now that's the
Half an
basis.
hour, half an hour.
Okay. You have half an hour.
Yeah,
Okay, good,
only.
good. Okay then. Well, I will go half an hour. I have no difficulty with that. It's a pleasure, of course. Once again, let me say, of course, to all and sundry, we have on the corridor transformation tonight, as promised last night, and he too, of course, you heard his voice as well. He will be, of course, available to give some comments as some developments that are taking place in this country. And of course, I know he's very versed and very experienced, and I'm sure we're going to get some information that most of us may not be familiar with because of his unique stance and his unique position, of course, representing the UNC in the Senate at this time. Once again, of course, welcome to the corridor transformation, Senator Wade Mark. Off the cuff, the most recent development in the Senate, you attracted, of course, should I say, the comment of the president of the Senate, saying that you should not use the Senate for politicking. But of course, I know that you are going to tell us not only the basis for which that statement was made, but also some of the developments that would have been taking place at this time. The reality is that it is an election year, confirmed by the Prime Minister after, of course, he presented and organized that convention at Napa, ostensibly to talk about constitutional reform, but then, of course, give us a sort of surprise, let's put it that way, when, of course, he said that we're going to move the ships those three ships under the emblem of the country, and, of course, replace it with a pan. Of course, we on this side know is race baiting, of course, and that presents maybe a one-stop shop for the typical political propaganda of this government. But that being as it may, so I want to focus there in the beginning, but of course you can take it wherever you wish at this point in time, having regard to the, should I say, multiple issues that are concerning the country at this point in time. So welcome, and the floor is yours, so to speak.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Lennox, and your listening audience, your viewing audience, on this initiative that you have taken to educate and enlighten and edify
Yes,
the
indeed.
population, particularly not only along the east-west corridor, but throughout the country. because it is only through education and political education that we will have genuine emancipation and liberation and ultimately salvation for our nation. So I think that initiative is welcome, and I want to congratulate you and your team. Listen, we know that there are fundamental functions of any legislature, any parliament. It is about law making, it is about oversight and accountability, it is about supplying finance. Those are some of the critical functions, but it is a political arena because it is through the political process that you have parties contesting elections every 5 years or even before. I recall, and you remembered, the
Yes.
former Prime Minister Patrick Manning on 2 occasions
Yes.
called a snap election,
Yes.
and the
Very distinctly.
masses wiped him out.
Yes. Yes.
So we are in the political Gael. And as you rightly pointed out, Lennox,
Yes.
we are now, and we have now entered into the fifth and final year of this outgoing, corrupt PNM administration.
Somehow
And when you
they don't like the term
recognize,
of outgoing. Somehow they don't like the term outgoing. They seem to be extremely offended. But go ahead.
yeah, well, we cannot be concerned about what they like.
Yes.
The reality is that we are in the fifth session of the 12th Parliament. So what does that mean, Lennox?
Yeah, that they're outgoing.
It means,
Logically.
it means that on the 29th of August 2025, the Parliament must stand dissolved.
Yes, indeed.
It must stand dissolved. There will be no sittings of the Parliament after the 29th of August. And under the Constitution, the Prime Minister has 3 months thereafter to call the general election. So he has until the 29th of November. So obviously, you are the outgoing government.
Yes.
And every minister is outgoing both literally and virtually.
Yes. I agree with
So,
that.
so I don't understand what is the president's concern. I don't think he's going up for a seat. I know the last time when the president was the vice president, they were contemplating putting him up in Diego Martin Central. But since then, he has been promoted to the post of president. So I don't know if they will still bring him to fight Diego Martin Central.
Yes,
I am not
indeed.
too sure.
Yes, indeed.
But the reality is that Trinidad and Tobago is in a total mess. And the two areas that you can measure the degree of chaos, utter confusion, instability, and total intellectual bankruptcy as it relates to the security and safety of the citizenry and the stability of the national economy, you can look no further than the crime and violence that is now plaguing and devouring our nation.
Yes.
So, crime and violence is the number one issue that is eating away at the very heart and soul of our beloved Twin Island Republican state.
Yes.
Could you imagine? We are now the 12th day of September 2024, and we are already nearing 450 murders.
Yeah, I mean, that is harrowing. I mean, unprecedented. And
Now, what does that tell you, Lennox? No, it tells you, Lennox, and it tells the population. If you look at that trajectory and trend line, if we continue and there is no evidence to show that this lazy, helpless, and clueless administration has any solution to stem the flow of blood that is taking over our streets, our villages, and our communities, and our country. The slaughtering of the innocent, whether you are a toddler, whether you are 5-year-old, whether you are 16 years or 17 years, whether you are 40 years or 50 years, whether you are 60 or 70, whether you are 80 or 90, under this criminal gangster P&M administration, none shall escape.
Yes,
Who
indeed.
dead. Who live. That is the mantra of a very incompetent, lazy, corrupt prime minister who has turned out to be the worst prime minister that Trinidad and Tobago has ever seen. So when we look at the state of affairs on the crime front, Lennox,
Yes.
we know and we recognize under our Constitution, Section 4, fundamental rights and freedom, we have a right to life. That is the first, number one fundamental right of every citizen in our nation, the right to life.
As you're on that
When
point,
you
I hope that you can bring in, of course, into this discourse, because I think it is right up that alley, the performance under the so-called COVID response and the over 5,000 lives, because both the Ministry of National Security and that of Health are now being deemed by the population to be, of course, the bearers of death. But I thought I should just prompt you there as we discuss these and other matters. Of course, we'll go into economic matters afterwards, but
Lennox,
yes, go ahead.
Lennox, listen.
Yes.
When you look at the balance sheet,
yes,
or if you want to call it the scorecard
yes,
of this administration, if I may rush on to the economy,
yes,
what do we see? What do we see? What is before us, Lennox? The first thing we see is the government having at its disposal over $550 billion, which is over $500 billion in the last 9 years.
Wow.
I want to repeat.
Go ahead.
$550 billion over the last 9 years. And they're going to present a budget in the next few days where you have to add that amount to the 550 billion. $500 billion. When you look around your beloved country, this country is unrecognizable. When you look at this country today and you compare it to the period 2010 and 2015, Trinidad and Tobago is unrecognizable. Every area, every indicator you can look at, Lennox,
yes,
has worsened. Every indicator has worsened. when we were there, when we demitted office
We're
in
talking about the UNC here
2015,
now, and Kamala Prasad Bisesa.
when the
Yes.
UNC demitted office
Yes.
in 2015,
Mhm.
Lennox, we left 10 billion US dollars in foreign exchange reserves.
Yes.
When we were there in 2014, it stood at 11.5 billion US dollars. You know what it is at now as we speak?
Tell us. I've
Just
always been
about
anxious.
6 billion US. We have lost almost about 4 billion in 9 years. So in 9 years, going into 10 years, the government has not added to our foreign exchange reserves. They have not expanded our foreign exchange reserves. And mind you, Lennox,
Mhm.
the government has increased our external debt, what you call our foreign debt. We were 2.2 billion US dollars when we demitted office in September of 2015. Lennox, we are close to 6 billion US dollars at the end of 2023.
3 times as much.
Lennox, 3 times as much.
Yes.
Lennox, do you know that when we were there, we paid interest, right, on that debt. And that interest, Lennox, I have the data somewhere before me, which I want to share with you.
Good.
Because I worked with those essential pieces of information for the public to understand.
Yes.
Our interest payment was 3.57 billion TT dollars.
Wow.
I'm talking about interest on our debt.
Yes. The interest, that's the interest separate from the
When
from
we
the principal,
left
from the capital. Yes.
our debt to GDP was just under 50%. It is now somewhere around 73, 72%.
Wow.
Where the interest, let me go back to the interest.
Go ahead.
3.57 or 3.6 billion. You know what it is today, Lennox? 5.7 billion. So we increased by almost 100%, Lennox.
I'm
In
hearing.
the period 2015 September to the end of fiscal 2023.
That is mammoth.
Look at the hard data in our nation, and you will see the numbers. It tells a story. So whether you look at your foreign exchange reserves, where the government has to borrow on the international capital market in order to strengthen and to increase our foreign exchange reserves. Lennox, if we minus the international borrowings of US dollars through what they call the Capital Roadshow, we would have in our foreign exchange reserves as we speak less than 150 US dollars. That is where the PNM has brought Trinidad and Tobago. That's why I told you earlier, when they came, they got a debt on the external front external debt,
Yes.
foreign debt of $2.2 billion. Lennox, today it stands close to $6 billion. So they have
And that is in
borrowed
US.
close
That's
to,
US dollars?
yeah, that is US dollars,
Okay.
comrade.
Yes,
So the
indeed.
government has borrowed close to $4 billion US dollars. You know where that went, comrade? It went into the
Uh, uh,
monies in order to show up
repeat
the
that
foreign
because
exchange
we
reserve.
got
That
a
is why I
lull.
told you.
We got
if
a
you
we got a
minus, if you
repeat that last statement where the monies went because we got
I
a
am
slight
saying to you that the government
Mhm.
over the period or during the period September 2015
Uh-huh.
to September 2023 borrowed on the international market close to $4 billion US dollars.
Right.
That is where we are at. And they place that money into the foreign exchange reserves.
I see. Good. Great.
So right now, I'm telling you, if you minus what we borrowed over the last 9 years, we would be around, let's say, in terms of real foreign exchange reserves, between 200 to 250 million US dollars.
Well,
So the country is bankrupt.
yes, and
The
is
country is insolvent.
yeah, but
Technically speaking,
yes, is
that is what we are
is
faced with. That is
is
why
that
you have
situation accountable for not being able to get foreign exchange? The ordinary person have $50, and then of course credit cards have been slashed in half. Is that
no. The problem with the foreign exchange, Brother Lennox, is just like how we have a lot of people unemployed.
Right.
That is why it is not just as though we have rising poverty. We have school dropouts.
Right.
Going young people joining gangs. The reason why we have income inequality or income disparity and wealth inequality in our land is because of the policy. Remember, politics is about making choices.
That's right.
The government has made choices through their policies to make the rich richer and to make the poor poorer. That is a policy choice of the PNM.
Wow.
When Basdio Pandya, may his soul rest in peace, when he was prime minister between 1995 and 2001, the highest his budget reached was just under $15 billion. You hear what I'm telling you?
Yes.
$15 billion. And that man increased old age pension on 4 separate occasions for the poor people of this country. The man built schools. He abolished the common entrance to give every child an opportunity to go to a secondary school and went into VocTech so that you could get a technical skill. So he built 4 stadia for the World Youth Football Tournament in Trinidad and Tobago. And what was our budget? Less than $15 billion. What is the budget today? Close to $60 billion.
Yes.
And look at the state of affairs. Lennox, do you know at the end of 2012, university graduate unemployment in this country was close to 1,200 university undergraduates?
At the end of
that is people with a first
2023.
degree.
Go ahead.
In 2012.
2012. Okay.
You had 1,200 university graduates.
All right.
Whether they've come from natural sciences faculty,
Right.
social sciences faculty, the humanities, among others. You know what, Lennox? 1,200. You know, at the end of 2021, it was close to 5,700, close to 6,000 university graduates. unemployed in this country?
Hmm.
You know, our unemployment our labor force rather, has been shrinking
Hmm.
over since the PNM came into office. And the actual people who are employed from that labor force has also been shrinking.
But
Look,
the minister,
when they
the
came,
minister
when they
in the mid-year review, he said that unemployment was at the almost nil state of just 3%.
yeah, well, remember that that is a way called fictional
I, I,
unemployment.
I
It's
hear
a
you. I hear you.
fictional
I hear you.
figure.
Yes. Okay.
You understand? Because, so what he was telling us when he made that point in his mid-year review is that our unemployment rate is lower than the United States.
Yes. Yes. That's what he was
Yeah,
attempting
yeah.
to
But
allude.
when we calculate the real unemployment rate in this country, we are between 12 and 15%. So you have close to 100 to 110,000 people
Mm.
unemployed
Double
in this
digits.
country, and
Double
even
digit. Yeah.
more. And just remember, Lennox,
Hmm.
you have a heavy amount of people who
Yes.
are underemployed,
Yes. Yes.
meaning
Yes.
they
Yes.
do not work 40 hours a week. They work for just under 25 hours a week.
And overqualified
The
for the
whole
tasks that they have.
CPEP
Mm.
the whole CPEP group of workers,
Uh-huh.
every one of them are underemployed.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Everyone.
But tell me something. What does that mean for our credit rating, having regard to the performance of this government
Well, the
over the
only thing that
period,
is saving us,
and at the same time, the cost of borrowing, because clearly they seem to be in a desperate state of wanting resources, financial resources, because we're talking about the implementation of the property tax. They have been busy doing that. They're talking about, of course, increasing electrical bills for the ordinary
electricity.
person, and we can go on and on. The implementation of the revenue authority, and of course all of the shenanigans that goes with it. What is that, Millie?
Lennox, the man is boasting that he got the S&P give him a BBB. So that
Yes,
is excellent. That is what he's saying. That is junk bond status.
Young Boxer, that's
That
right.
is very, very close to junk bond status.
Right, that's
And in
first
terms
thing.
of Moody's, we are already in junk bond status.
Right.
So what it means is that when you go internationally to borrow money or you go to refinance the Petrotrin debt,
Mm-hmm.
you are going to be charged a higher rate of interest. And the reason for that, and it could have been even higher, but you know what is saving them? What is saving Trinidad and Tobago from paying a higher rate of interest is our Heritage and Stabilization Fund
I
that
suspected
they
that.
have
Yes.
raided over the last 9 years. Had they not raided our Heritage and Stabilization Fund and they had added to that fund, we would have been between 10 to 12 billion US dollars in terms of the HSF.
Yes.
But the government has pitched oil prices so high whenever they have a budget presentation that it always results in the government entering and taking from our rainy day fund.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you pitch oil is at $85
Yeah.
a barrel,
Unrealistically.
and it comes
Unrealistically.
down
Yeah.
as we are
Yes.
witnessing today,
Yes.
just around 60 to 65 or thereabouts per barrel. What does that tell you?
Triggers.
Their budgeted price is below what is on the market now. So you know what? They have an excuse under the
Yes.
law
Yes.
to
To go
go
into the
and
heritage.
raid
Yes. Yes.
our Heritage and
Civilization Fund.
Stabilization Fund. That is what we are talking about.
Yes.
So the people of our nation have a clear choice. Do not believe in the lie, the cry, and the mamagai that this government has been engaging in. Lies crying and mamagaing the people, and always engaging, as you said earlier on and at the start of this exercise, this program, they're always engaging in deflection and distraction.
Yes.
You know why, Lennox? They have been an utter failure
Yes,
in
indeed.
delivering prosperity for our nation, and particularly the youths of our people. That
Uh,
is why the honorable leader said that when we return to office, whenever they call election, they can run, but they can't hide. They must call elections in Trinidad and Tobago. And when they call this election, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, unlike when Imbud had his interview with the IMF, he said he raised gas once,
yes,
he
yes, boy.
raised it twice,
That is
he raised it
pathetic.
three
Yeah,
times,
yeah, yeah.
and the people are riot. Yes,
Insulting, yes.
I have a message for Imbud.
Uh-huh.
Whenever the prime minister, because he has been placed into the political dog house
Yes.
by Rowley in favor of his newfound Gary Sobers.
Yes, yes,
Okay,
yes.
who is now acting prime minister. Okay, so what is going to happen, and what I appeal to the working class and the youths of the East-West corridor, the women in the East-West corridor, the small and medium-sized business owners in the East-West corridor, all the unemployed people of the corridor, riot on election day with your index finger. We
Yes,
want the
indeed.
people to riot on election day when they call that day. And don't let them fool you with $500 in a P&M jersey.
Yeah.
You are not valued at $500. You know what happened? Stuart Young brother, Angus Young,
Ah,
running something called NCB Global Finance, now
yes.
NCB Merchant Bank. He has been able to generate through all kinds of activities with this government an amount of revenues for that particular bank close to and inching over $4 billion.
Yes.
So $4 billion for NCB Merchant Bank. But you know what for you? $500
Get the rich richer.
in a red jersey.
Yes.
And then your minimum wage, he increased it by $3.50.
Yes, yes, yes,
That
yes.
cannot, so you cannot survive on that.
That's
I
right.
was talking to a youth
Uh-huh.
recently.
Yes.
Yeah, and he told me, Lennox,
Mm.
he's working for just 3,200 a month. You know what his rent for a two-bedroom house? Right there in Mova, a two-bedroom, close to $2,000.
Yeah, I don't even want to fathom a thought on that. But before we go, I know that we said half an hour. I look as though we are close there. Before we go to Balize House and your interpretation as to what is happening there, Dr. Rowley, of course, said that the party was bankrupt. Now you're billing something close over 100 million in some quarters and possibly more. You mentioned recently, before we go there, you mentioned recently about the importation and the cost of fuel, consequential of the closure of the Petrotrin oil refinery. There is a lot of inquiry, there's a lot of concern as to that measure, that decision that the government took contributed significantly to the deterioration of our quality of life and standard of living. So I would love to hear your
One thing
your
I
comments.
can tell you,
Yes.
Lennox,
Go ahead.
the PNM has no love for this country.
Okay.
And they have no love for the ordinary working class people, whether they're black, whether they're white, whether they're mixed.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care about the ordinary people. Their only use of the ordinary people is voting on election day for the PNM and handing them crumbs
Yes.
from the table of the master.
Yes.
You never forget, we had a railway system that used to travel from here to Grande, from here to San Fernando, from here to places like Central Trinidad. Never forget, Eric Williams closed down the railway. We could have had a modern transit system in our country. The PNM shut down the railway. The PNM shut down the tram car system that you could have when you go to Europe, whether it's Denmark or Holland, whether it's Switzerland or any other place, you see tram cars at play. We had that in the city of Port of Spain and San Fernando. They shut it down. The PNM shut down the only black empire
Yeah, boy.
built by
That is a
Lawrence
disaster.
Dupre
Yeah,
and
yeah,
his great
yes.
soul. Rest in peace.
Yes.
To give it to who? Their friends and financiers. Lawrence Dupre is dead. His company has repaid every cent to the government. The government of the PNM, who say they support and they are the Black People Party. They are the African Party. You know, they won't return the empire built by a black man
In fact,
to the
they
shareholders.
went to court to get it. They went to
Right?
court to legitimize it. Yes.
So they shut down the only black empire built by black people called CL Financial and Clico.
Yes.
And then when you go to Caroni, he shut down Caroni. So we know how to import sugar. We know how to import rum. We had to import molasses. We had to import a lot of food that Carney used to produce. Then they came and they shut down Petrotrin, man.
Wow.
Listen, this government is about destroying Trinidad and Tobago and not building Trinidad and Tobago. And that is why the people of this country have to wake up. And like George Floyd, when that white policeman had his knees on his neck,
Yes.
and he said, I cannot breathe. I cannot breathe. Our people cannot breathe. They want to exhale. And they are going to get the opportunity. That's why we say elections have consequences.
Oh, yes, indeed. Oh, yes, indeed.
Elections have consequences, Lennox.
Yes, man.
And we are appealing to the people of our great country. This man has presided over the death, the slaughter, the butchering of close to 5,000 citizens. 5,000 citizens have been murdered in the last 9 years and 1 month under this government's watch. And as you reminded the country a short while ago, 5,000 people and over were killed as a result of the mismanagement of the whole COVID crisis in this country. And that is why the honorable leader said, when the UNC returns to office, we will call a commission of inquiry.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
and we are going to establish a new criminal offense called corporate manslaughter.
Yes.
In this
I heard that, and that was welcomed by the populace. I know that we are winding down.
So, comrade, all I can tell you is that I want to let the people know, look out for lies.
Yes.
Look out for cries. And look out for Mama Guy from the PNM, because they have nothing to offer you except to distract, to deflect, to lie, to cry, and to Mama Guy. You have an alternative. You have a leader, a former prime minister who has a track record of delivery to the people of this country. We are presenting the UNC to the country as the only alternative to the PNM. And we are asking the people, the youths in particular, if you are not registered to vote, get registered now to vote. And use your index finger and retrench and evict this squatter occupying space in our land and trying to do whatever he wants, insult the people when he wants and whenever he wants to do it. Let us bring that to an end and let us return our beautiful, beloved Twin Island Republic State to a place of sanity, a place of equality, a place of equal opportunity, a place of prosperity and flourishing democracy where the rule of law will reign supreme.
Yes, indeed. Well, I want to make that statement an anticlimax because I still want to hear your comment on Balize House
No,
itself.
Balize House is going to be subject to a forensic inquiry.
Okay.
They must explain to the country how that Balize House was built on raffle ticket that is costing over $140 million.
Yes,
So
boy.
Dr. Rowley and his gang will have to explain to the people who are going to conduct a forensic criminal investigation into that particular construction and the $140 million that it cost them to build that edifice. Let them explain to the country where that money came from. They say it came from raffle tickets. They go bring the evidence.
That's right. But of course, I don't know if you have any final
All I can
comments.
tell you
Yes.
in closing is that Trinidad and Tobago, we have a date destiny. We have to take back our country from the crooks, from the gangs, from the corrupt, from this criminal gangster government and their financiers who are reaping all the gravy. They're giving nothing to the poor. That is why people are catching the royal ant and nenin. We believe in a bottom-up economic approach rather than a trickle-down economic approach. We want to build this economy. We want to prioritize the needs of the people, homes, jobs. We want proper health care. We want education for our people. We want safety and security for the people and their property. We want to abolish this oppressive property tax and bring a tax that the people can afford to pay. We do not want this kind of oppression that these people are putting down on the population. So we have a manifesto, we have a vision, we are on a mission, we have a plan. We did it between 2010 and 2015, and we will do it again in 2025 up to 2030. And with the grace of God and the help of the people, we will go from 30 to 35.
Yes, indeed. Well, thank you very much, of course, for that excellent, I think, presentation. I think you would have done justice not only to the party that you represent, not only to the political leader that, of course, is at the helm of the opposition at this point in time, but certainly I'm sure that a lot of clarity has been given to a number of issues that every single citizen would have wanted cleared up because they know that they have a duty and a destiny, of course, with what I consider to be.
We say they have a date with destiny.
Yes, a date with destiny, yes. And clearly, you have presented some very potent and significant contribution to making certain that people act in their own best interest by voting the right way. And the only way could be the UNC. Thank you very much once again for gracing us with your presence.
It was my pleasure, and thank you for inviting me. And I want to thank your listening audience, your viewing audience for taking part in this exercise and following it. I hope I did justice to the program, and I hope I was able to edify and enlighten and educate the masses, because only through education, political education, raising the consciousness of the people, can we bring about liberation, emancipation, and ultimately salvation for our beloved nation.
Thank you very much. Once again, I mean, that is it to people, of course. Tower of Power there. Yes, indeed. Of course, that was the one and only, the inimitable Wade Mark, Senator Wade Mark. as he, of course, he presented the position and the state of affairs in Trinidad and Tobago at this point in time. Of course, the lines are open, but I'm telling you that I'll be going straight to the parliamentary representative for Cuba South, Rujan Jat, yes, in order to, of course, look at his perspective as well, and to continue, of course, with what we are doing. We are talking about Indar Singh, yes, Rujan Jat, Indar Singh, yes, the parliamentary representative for Cuba South. Yes, people, so whilst we having this musical interlude, let me see if I can get him immediately. We will open for comments and general interaction thereafter, because you don't want them to lose much sleep because they have a lot of work to do, as we will see, provided by this government, no doubt, unnecessarily because of their incompetence and impotence. Yes, indeed.
When the sun's got to look around and see the wondrous thing, the job done.
So, people, of course, I know that you are gathering your thoughts. I know that you had a lot to munch on, but there is more to come. Yes, there is more. There is more. There is more. There is more.
I'm a shining rainbow beyond the frosty clouds.
Yes, indeed. We're trying to get, of course, Indar Singh, the parliamentary representative for Cuba's. Let me make sure, always getting mixed up with North and South and so on. So let me make sure that I have it correct. Yes, indeed. It is coming up on your screen now, so you can confirm with me for Cuba South. Yes, Cuba South, Rujan Dat, Rujan Nat, Indar Singh. Rujan Nat, Indar Singh. Yes, so I think I get the pronunciation correct as well. Yes, indeed. So let's see. All right, let's try again. Let's try again. I spoke to him earlier today, so he did confirm that he may well be available, even though, of course, it's very tight schedule, may or may not permit or allow, but let's see. Yes, indeed, we're trying to get, of course, the MP, the parliamentary representative for Cuba South, Rujan Nat, Indar Singh. Yes, indeed. All right, let's see. If not, of course, we will try again, or he may well call in after. But the lines are open now. 337-6940, 337-6940. After that scintillating, spectacular, and very informative, saturated with statistics and the realities of Trinidad, because particularly elated to know that he too extremely concerned about the delusion that was presented on the occasion of the mid-year review by the Minister of Finance, telling us that unemployment is 3%. Of course, and I flatly denied it. I thought it was asinine. I thought it was stupid. I thought it was a figment of somebody's imagination, and only a fool will, of course, accept that when one looks at the reality in Trinidad and Tobago, where every 2 persons you see, or every 3 persons, two are unemployed. And then, of course, the way how they calculate, as we extrapolated unemployment, one of which is that if you are looking for work, you are not captured in the unemployment category or bracket. Let's go straight to the lines. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Pleasant good night to you, Mr. Lennox.
Pleasant good night to you. Yes, indeed.
And share to each and every one.
Yes, people, and share. Don't allow this. Yes, don't let this beautiful occasion let others not be the beneficiary of it. So your duty is to share. Thank you very much, caller, for that reminder. I have the tendency of not focusing on these things, but it is important to get the message out. Go ahead, caller.
And I would like to say pleasant thanks to our Honorable Senator, Mr. Wayne Mark, that he will always bring forth the burning issues and the truth of the taxing lying thief and government led by Keith Christopher Rowley. And now, to justify some of the ills in society, the procurement regulator, I saw that is our next Auditor General breaking the silence. Because one will ask themselves, over 60 cases, and it has 7 still need answer to. And you know, Fitzgerald Hines, his ministry is one of the leading ministry identified that procurement, and it was shortcoming. So we seeing and we hearing, and now the detractors of them will try to come out like ants when water hit them and float around to say they're happy, they're in water drowning. And they will try to mislead the others. So tonight I would like to say to all the slave catchers, stop being a slave catcher and putting your brothers and sisters in bondage as slave. Independence have just gone, and we are a republic. And now the citizens are supposed to enjoy the fruits of this nation, which is blessed, and not only a very few. So with that word, I will say, let's unite and move forward. Good night.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And of course, the lines are open, 337-6940. That's the only number that you have. But of course, Senator Wade Mark's presentation, contribution, discourse was very comprehensive. And while of course I know that some people may, for the first time, not only be on the corridor transformation, but certainly getting confirmation of some of the information that we might have shared sometime in the past. So from, of course, a person who is not just experienced, so who is in fact in the vineyard, who is at the level of the shakers and movers and decision making in more ways than one in this country, then of course I'm certain that the veracity of what we say on the corridor transformation must have resonated with you. For example, of course, I have a little, let's say, adjustment, for want of a better term. While of course he said 6 billion, because of the catering for the clandestine nature of this government, that they will not give you the real information. But of course, he has a duty and responsibility not to go beyond what is officially projected by the government. I want to say, I have the license to say that the reserves in this country is more in the vicinity of about 4 billion and not the 6 billion that the senator would have had of necessity and integrity to announce, because that is what the central bank and others will give them. But we know this government is capable of having its nasty hands in all sectors and all institutions, and therefore I will not be surprised if it is 4 billion as opposed to the 6 billion in reserves at this point in time, moving from about 10 to 12 to now 6. But at any rate, a substantial reduction from where we were in 2015. That being as it may, a pleasant good night. Welcome.
A pleasant good night, Lennox.
Hey.
To you and to all the chatters and them. Lennox,
Hey.
it was really, really nice hearing. You hearing me?
Yes. Very elaborate, very articulate.
Yes, it was really nice hearing Wade Mark here tonight. And never mind, some people don't like it to go back and talk about the past. But if we don't remember the past, we will be doomed to repeat it. Right?
Only the PNM can go to the past, you know. So when we only said that at one time we didn't have a petrol train, at one time we didn't have a railway system. At one time, we didn't have
Yeah.
beautiful roads and so on. He ain't talking in the past. He ain't talking in the past. Well, eat all your heart out. The
Yeah.
past will tell us where we were, and the present will tell us where we could be, and the future will tell us what the
Where we
vision
are
is.
going.
Go ahead, my friend.
What to expect.
Yes.
Yeah. I agree with you, Lennox.
Yes.
We need to talk about it because you see, some people need to be reminded of their dirty past
Yes.
when they want to point their dirty fingers at others. When they want to point their dirty fingers at others, they need to be reminded. You hear?
Yeah, because
Lennox,
everything they say about Kamala Prasad Bisesa would have been in the past.
Yeah.
So it is. So using their logic, why would you be so hypocritical and convenient? It is good to talk about the past as far as Kamala Prasad Bisesa and USC is concerned, but not to the PNM. All your
But
tail. Go ahead, my friend.
PNM, that's
Yes.
right. That's right. But you know what? Whether they like it, and if they don't like it, they could go to bed.
That's
We
right.
don't care. They could go to bed.
Suck it
Right?
and lump
We will
it.
bring it up. We will rehash it.
That's right.
We will rehash it and we will talk about it. Because Rowley feel he's a saint. And all who feel that Rowley is a saint, let them think again. Because Rowley ain't no saint at all. Right?
Yes.
Rowley's a dangerous man.
To the extreme.
Very, very dangerous.
Yeah.
But Lennox,
Yeah.
I sent you today a flyer about a 14-year-old girl and her 1-year-old son missing. Lennox,
Okay.
14-year-old and her 1-year-old child is missing. Lennox, that is statutory rape. Who is responsible for getting that child pregnant? Because she's a child. She's a child.
Yes. Well, that's rape.
Right?
That is rape. That is similar
that's
to Rowley's
statutory rape,
to
yes.
Rowley's case. Yes. Back in Tobago. Yes.
Right.
In 1969 when he impregnated
Right.
Miss Allen, and she bore his first son at age 17.
Right. And this child is 14.
Yes.
This child is 14. Why was anybody arrested for that, Lennox? We don't know. We're not hearing anything. You see, Lennox, some people feel a KFC special, right? It's okay. That's what they fool them with. It's okay. And they're getting away with it, so they see nothing wrong in it. That's why Faris run to change the Child Marriage Act, right? Who is responsible for that? Where is the father of that child? Because he is also guilty. He is guilty. And who should be charged also? Well, I know sometimes it's hard to answer that, but why didn't the mother of that girl reported it? All these questions has to be we have to answer them, have to get answered, Lennox. Because too many of our young girls are getting pregnant, dropping out to school, and then they're just going. Look at what happened to the one with the two children.
All right. So you're saying
we're not hearing.
Yeah, I'm seeing the flyer now. I'm seeing the notice now. A Point Fortin girl,
Right.
14,
Yes.
but the 1-year-old son reported missing. So she has a 1-year-old son at age 14.
So she was 13
Yes.
when she was pregnant, Lennox?
Yes, obviously. Just as how
Yes.
Miss Allen
child
was
not become a
16
teenager?
was 16 when she became pregnant. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
By Rowley.
Lennox,
Let's
look at what
make
it
it
is.
clear. Yeah.
Yeah, look at what it is going on in this country.
Yeah.
It's just a blight take over the place. But he once used the remark, when you have criminals in high office, you will have criminals on the ground. But when you have a blight in office, you'll have the big blight on the ground. Are they not doing anything about it, Lennox?
Yes, indeed. Dishonorable people who seek honorable office, the only outcome could be dishonorableness, decadence, and chaos, which, of course, is what Rowley represents and his minions. So you're quite right. Go ahead, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And next thing is, Lennox, you don't have to go back to this, eh?
Yes.
You know, some people don't like to hear we with the past, but I had to go back to this with Mikey and Barry Garcia. Lennox, Barry Garcia is a real fraud, you know. The man
Obviously.
is a fraud, and I'm saying it. to hear that man talk about all the things that PNM has done, Marvin Gonzalez has improved the water system. We had a water system, 72% portable drinking water under Kamala's government. What we have now under Marvin Gonzalez must be 20. Because we don't get water every day. We
But-
don't, Lennox.
But
Nothing in this country is working.
I share your view that Mikey has a real belly to cause stomach
I
stomach that.
admire Mikey.
Yeah, to
Yes,
stomach that.
to stomach
I
that.
I
And
heard
with
it.
a straight
I heard
face
you this
too.
morning, and I simply smiled. I said I bugged convey that agreement by me of your statement to the general
I tell you,
population and
I have
listenership,
a-
yes, and viewership. Yeah.
I have a renewed respect for Mikey after that interview. That man have got something. He did it with a straight face, eh?
Yes,
He
yes, yes.
did it with a straight face.
Yeah.
But you see, according to him, you have to bring all those people to know.
Oh yeah. To make them make asses of themselves. That is what that was all
That's
about.
right.
So
That's
I
right.
commend
They
him
want
for being so, should I say, graphic in doing that. Yes.
Yeah. And you coming to rehash what Kamala did to Pandey. What did Kamala did to Pandey? Kamala never did anything to Pandey. There was an internal election.
We're gonna have another
and she
person
won
on
it
the
fair and
line,
square.
so you'll have to wait.
Yeah, she won it fair and square, you know?
Yes.
She shellacked him. She shellacked him,
Yes.
right? And you come to talk what she never wanted disrespected that man.
Yeah.
She even wanted to make him the president. She wanted to give him the highest order, and he refused it.
Yes.
He was so damn bad-minded. But we all know what Rowley stood up in biggest corner and said about Patrick Manning.
Yes.
That's what I tell you, Rowley's a dangerous man.
Oh yes,
You know,
yes, it's very toxic.
Very, very dangerous.
Yeah, very toxic, poison to the hilt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And is the
now
present
let me tell you
threat to
something, yeah.
Trinidad and Tobago, an existential threat to Trinidad and Tobago, no doubt. Go ahead.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
He is. And I think to the Caribbean too. Because imagine.
Yeah, because wherever he went,
fear of
he seemed to be
CARICOM,
blighted. Yeah, wherever he went, he seemed to be
Yeah.
blighted. Yeah.
as chair of CARICOM, this man didn't even know that 400,000 vaccines came into the region. And he said, oh, I am chair, and I would know. And this time they show you a video of the offloading it. If it wasn't for Mia Motley, we would not have gotten vaccines in this country.
Of course, that was before or after. After he said that no, this country will not beg to get a gift is to beg.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's not a vagrant. He's not going to beg.
Something that you need, but it's not readily available, and they have admitted that. I mean, it's the most asinine group of people that I've ever seen making illogical statements. I mean, ad nauseum, because of course.
Yeah.
I mean, the minister, Dale Singh, told us at that time that even if we had the money to buy or to pay for vaccines, they were not available because metropolitan countries, the richer countries, were gobbling up all. So therefore, a gift would have been as equally precious as probably having money. And yet still, this man, when he took the 15 doses, 1,500 doses, and then made some other frivolous excuse. These people weren't ready. They're simply asses. Go ahead, my friend.
They
Yes.
were not interested in seeking the interest of the
Yeah.
country, Lennox.
Yeah.
Right? Because it was Mrs. Prasad Bissessar who wrote the Indian High Commissioner
Yeah.
asking him to help us out. And he said, no, he don't
And
want
mind
it.
you-
He's not begging anybody.
Yeah, and mind you, he blamed the High Commissioner afterwards for not informing him.
Yeah.
Who the hell is he? And the High
Who the
Commissioner
hell is
is
he?
resident
Yeah.
here for the rest of the Caribbean, or for the rest of CARICOM, as far as the small islands is concerned. In other words, he's resident here, but he has responsibility for even Dominica and so on, which Dominica applied to him, and he used his good office to get doses for them and all in the early days of vaccine distribution and readiness.
And Lennox, look at what he did to Norman Sabga as well.
Yeah,
right?
boy.
When the people tell him they could bring in the vaccines and let it be a tax write-off. He said they wanted to get things tax-free.
Just imagine that.
Just lie.
Just imagine that. They giving you the equivalent Trinidad money but because
Yeah.
they don't have the foreign exchange, they don't have the Yankee money, in other words, and you convert that to mean that they wanted an advantage that he was not
Yeah.
prepared, protecting, of course, should I say, illusionarily, the Trinidad and Tobago's interest, as we have seen in so many instances where he faked protecting the public's interest when in fact he was protecting the 1% interest of which he's a part.
But Lennox,
Yeah.
this exactly, and the man did just like direction, and he came out and he said they never asked a tax write-off. They were just
Yes.
making up
Yeah, he had to
answer.
protect himself, just as the ambassador, the
Yeah.
American ambassador against this buffoon calling himself Stuart Young. Yeah.
Yeah. And Lennox, before I leave,
Yes.
you see this thing with the Auditor General.
Uh-huh.
I hope she stand her ground,
Yes.
because now somebody said all you have to do is to apologize. Apologize to who? Apologize to what? When there errors, their money's missing. If she apologized, will the money get back there?
But
Why
but
doesn't
what
it do
is
the
yet
lady that for?
what is yet to apologize for? I just don't understand
Yeah.
that. You have not found the money. If you had found the money, then I could see she could say, well, maybe she was a bit hasty and so on, but she had a deadline to meet
Yeah.
legally, and therefore, of course, she pursued.
Right.
But
But she
2
stands her
billion, 2
ground.
billion
She said
something
there
is
was an
still
error.
missing. 2 is still missing.
The money's
What
missing.
apology? You have to be an ass to even suggest that.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be derogatory, and you know, with these people and them who's making these asinine statements, because it does not compute. It does not nestle in, of course, logic and common sense and cordiality. You have to be arrogant and contemptuous of them. So
Yeah.
I say that to whosoever make that suggestion. Go ahead in your conclusion. I have
and
somebody
he's saying-
waiting on the
and
line.
He is saying that they they're blowing it out of proportion and one set of effrontery. But I hope that she stand her ground. You understand? And she take it for all that he have.
Well,
Because we know that he's lying, Lennon.
yes, and Rablogan
Mrs.
is
Basaki
here,
said
so
they
I'm
will read it
I'm
out.
sure she's getting good legal advice. So I
Yeah,
I have
wait,
all the confidence in
Lennox,
the world.
mark my word. You
Yes.
see, because Anna Ram Logan is a lawyer. Where did they see they're going to go after Anna Ram Logan just so? You're going to hear all
Again,
the
again,
lies.
you mean again? Remember, he was the man that they
Again, yeah.
charged for
Yeah.
taking kickbacks, and misbehaving in public
Yeah.
office, and it turned out to be a concoction, a setup by the Rowley administration to pervert the course of the criminal justice.
Because
I
of
trust that a
justice, yes.
commission of inquiry will also be led into that, if not a direct
Into that, yes.
investigation to jail Rowley and them for concocting
And
that.
Lennox,
Yeah.
he was boasting
Yes.
about this King Council, this King Council.
Yes.
All you know who he is? He's a state witness. He's
Yeah,
like
today
Amazon.
he's in
Oh, the
reverse
man
gear.
name was.
Today he's in
And
reverse
look at
gear.
it now.
Yeah, in reverse gear now.
Anyway, Lennox, it was so nice chatting with you.
Yes.
Take care and have a good night.
Same to
Later.
you, same to you, and keep listening. And of course, people, don't forget, share. I still want some comments on the presentation of Senator Wade Mark. I think it was spectacular, and of course, I'll try again to get in the housing. If not, well, of course, we'll leave that for tomorrow. A pleasant good night. Welcome on the handheld set at this time. Pleasant good night. Yes.
Pleasant good night to you, Mr. Smith.
Good night to you.
Yes, what happened? You might know this voice, but you didn't hear this voice for a while because I was to do an emergency operation,
Oh, I see. Okay.
So I kind of recover now, but I still recovering. But what happened? I have to say something, so I have, I still let me come out
Yeah,
and talk.
let the spirit move you, man. Whichever way.
Right. So I just want to say something. It might sound either different to what normally we speak about, but I'll go and say this.
Good.
Now, during the reign of Mr. Manning,
Mm.
I was a supporter of Mr. Manning.
Mm.
That what I will say. I really wasn't a supporter at the PNM,
Right.
but I like Mr. Manning, and I always support him. But I just showing you what has happened to us when we supported a person, right?
Yes.
Now, no, during Mr. Pandey reign, Mr. Pandey did some of the greatest thing that ever happened to our country. Like for instance, when black people couldn't even own a motor car.
Yes.
When you take 5 years to get a new car, so you're paying for one, and when in 5 years' time from Amar and them, the Toyota King, they will sell the car that they have after 5 years, and then they will buy a new one. And whereas the black people was under real pressure to buy a motor vehicle.
Yes.
And Mr. Pandey say open the used car industry.
Yes.
And so, well, black man could have come forward and own a vehicle, right?
Right.
Mr. Pandey ended up saying water for all.
Yes.
And started lay water line all over Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes.
Right? Mr. Pandey say where every child must have an education.
Yes.
And they built school all over Trinidad and Tobago secondary school and so forth, right?
Yes.
Mr. Pandey and all had a bridge drive where long time they had only set a wood bridge all over the country, right? And why I'm telling you this, because I live from a remote village then, like in Beach.
Yes.
Right? Them is some of the most backward place, right? And we had it real hard, right? Right now I am living in Stanley Grande, right?
Okay.
And the beach road fix was in 1974. And after that, if you see that beach road today, Mr. Smith, you're balling.
Right.
It's like if you come back to Donkey Cat days,
Wow.
bamboo and all kind of things growing out on the road and things. It ain't been cut, nothing, until people hardly using the beach road, like the Conapo Southern Road,
Yes.
from
Yes.
San Granny to beach.
Well,
They
yeah,
were
yeah,
hardly
that,
using
yeah,
it.
that road there, yeah. Oh gosh, boy, and well, if you're talking that talk, and I passed there several occasions, and you have to dodge potholes, etc., and you're saying it worse now. Wow.
I tell you, it will only
I'm
good
talking about what
for
about
like them
yeah.
van and them to pass, not motor car, because the car could touch underneath and all them kind of things. So
Wow.
they use the Plummeter road instead of the beach road.
All right,
Right?
and cut out the distance.
But just show you something, right?
Yes.
What has happened? Now, when you're supporting a party like I did, no, I couldn't see the good things that Mr. Even Pandey do, and I could even tell you this too, right? Pandey is the first man in Trinidad and Tobago as a prime minister to raise pension, only his pension, by $300.
Yes.
You understand what I'm telling you?
Yes.
$300. And then Mr. Manning, when he won the election, he raised it by 2. So they raised it to $1,000 then. Right? So it was somewhere around 5 or 450 for the month. Right? So what I share showing you, all these good things that Mr. Pandey did. Right? Even during that time, I was driving a truck and I even shake Mr. Pandey's hand. And when it come to the 1818, right? I just showed you something now. When it come to the 1818, I couldn't even see the good Mr. Pandey did. What I pinpointed just now, I still wanted Robertson to give Patrick Manning the prime ministership.
Wow.
I just showing you what has happened.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, somehow people gravitate to their own demise. Yeah.
You're ignorant to what the good somebody doing.
Yes.
I just show you why the PNM in power, because that is the same thing going on with this takeoff and them. But after Mr. Manning lose the election, and I come and I really study, I said, but what the hell wrong with me, boy? How I could be thinking about Manning when this man do so much good?
Yes.
Something wrong with we when we thinking about liking a person. So I said, nah. So I get on board with the UNC now.
Right.
Because I see Kamala had done some real great thing during her time too.
Right.
Right? So what I'm trying to say, what has happened in Trinidad and Tobago is sometimes the people who supposed to support the party for something good, we supporting the other side who we care about and ignorance to the economy. What taking place? Right? So,
And your
so
own
sometimes no,
good, your own development, your own advancement, you're ignoring that to in the process just because you like somebody. Full stop.
you understand?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You understand what's going on?
Yes,
So,
yes, yes.
so it's a hell of a thing now with we black people now. Because I'm a black man, as I had to tell you now, and we get on board now, and we ignorant to the fact that taking place, and we so ignorant to the fact that this man put we as black people in Trinidad and Tobago in a better place,
Yeah.
and yet we can't pick it up. You know, so what I'm saying now, today, what I'm watching, somebody, even the UNC supporters, we can all too, right? Because why I'm saying that, they have a good majority that they could get up and do something better for this country. You know, this UNC is supposed to be losing no election. Forget about how this seat is situated, because you know how this seat is situated. 3 Indigo Martin, 4 in Porter Spring. That alone showing you how vast that is, right? Well, what I'm saying, the UNC support real big, but they staying in the background too much. Some of the UNC people, what it does, man, me come out to vote and I go just remain so, and they remain in the background. And when they have the amount of vote to make the difference, right? Why think I'm telling you that? Look at, for instance, this property tax. You know the people who pay property tax right now most of the time is the UNC supporters. Yes, yes, this was what I'm telling you, because they have the money and they're running to pay. Why I think I'm telling you this, right? I am living with an Indian woman. She's a Hindu person, right? And I am telling this because I know that she have her brothers and all who don't rush up big property tax already, and them is UNC. Them is strong UNC. Them voting Kamala Bisesa all the time. But somehow they don't have the guts to stand up and face it. No, I telling I said, we're not going to pay that tax. Even say we have to pay the 10% or the 15% because it is wrong to pay the tax for what the man say. He fought an election on local government reform, and the property tax is to go to the budgets, the borough council and whatnot. And so far, we have no local government reform.
Yeah. Was a piece of hogwash propaganda. Caller, just hold on. Concluding on the handset with this caller. Go ahead.
All right, no problem. I can always call back another time.
All right. No. I was asking you to conclude if you can, or if you want some more time.
Oh yes. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, just conclude. Yes.
Yeah. So the thing I go in with, right? The supporters are the UNC. If we want to make a difference in this country, we don't need the PNM support to make a difference, brother. We have the majority. But the difference is we ain't getting up. We ain't had the guts to come out and call a spade and come out and fight for the UNC.
Okay.
We just taking it how it come.
All right. Thank you very much. That never completely. Yeah. That's good information for and advice to, of course, those who are so inclined. You have to get up and get. We have a country to save. You have a date with destiny. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Mr. LENNOX.
Yes.
Sorry to come back in.
No, that's all right. Go ahead.
The maths you just did, right?
Yeah.
I think that young lady might have been 12 going on to 13 to make it to the 14, to make it the 1 year.
Yeah.
But anyway, I would like to ask all the listeners on this program tonight to answer this question, and you will see what Mr. Wademark is talking about. If a bank, you're dealing with a bank, right? You have an account in a bank, and that bank, you're doing business with a company, let me say a company, right? Which happen to be in the same banking company you bank with,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's bank, your bank and the company bank is the same bankers,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But you want to pay the company some US money, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, the company will take US. So you're going to your bank, your branch, your bank, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your bank give you the okay and tell you that, okay, yes, we could do the transfer so and so days and get it for you, right?
Yeah.
Why take the company 4 to 5 days to see the money show up in their account in US? Because you understand what I
Yeah,
said?
yeah, yeah, yeah. The tardiness of the clearinghouse system. But go ahead. I understand where you're
Right?
coming from.
So,
Yes.
so is bank onto bank,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
just account.
Right.
So that the numbers will go up, just like how Rowley talking about a cashless society,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the company get cashless, but the US dollars is credited to the US account. But that is to tell you now, the company had to wait till they get the hard cash in the account.
Yeah.
So you see when the shortage coming in, and you see people understand that right now India will sell that you don't sell his soul, right? Me know what again you sell or what you do, or how you gonna get that US to put on the books to read this budget coming here.
Hmm.
And if we feel that the property tax that the bullying people to come out and pay, that $4 billion to pay, they're telling people how much US they owing the gas company and them.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll watch it and see how it goes. So teachers have nothing to get. Police is demoralized with the increase. The army is demoralized. Everybody. So, and the supporters that I'm say that we supposed to come and clean, we drain and cut we grass. I would like to hear when the day come and the importers of the groceries who bring it in, the dal, the rice, the chana, and the red bean, and the corned beef. When all you see it on the shelf, and the price go up to $100, great is the PNM. Good night.
Well, of course, sarcasm will get you everywhere, my friend. Yes, indeed. Of course, when Matt alluded to that, the fact that foreign direct investment is at an all-time low, crime is at an all-time high. But Rudy and the other credit rating agencies such as S&P, Trinidad and Tobago credit rating is almost junk bond status. But of course, just during the mid-year review, Imber told us that the economy was doing fine. In fact, he said that 3% unemployment. Of course, inflation was at an all-time low, etc. Well, of course, in that particular case, we can understand what I consider to be the enigmatic situation or the phenomenon where, of course, if people do not have cash to spend, then the goods will stay on the shelves. It means, therefore, people will keep their goods at a price where lower the price in order for you to purchase it, because people simply don't have spending money. Because they are unemployed. So you see, so there's a chain link, there's a repercussion, there is a what I consider to be a result of the one factor ricocheting against another one, and as a consequence, you have that chain of events being triggered towards, of course, the reality. But at the end of the day, he couldn't resist the fact that he had, in order to justify the presence of the speed with which they would like to implement the revenue authority, he had to do an affidavit to the court. So here is where he found himself in a quandary, maybe more like a quagmire, a little more than a mess. Yes, a stinking mess. When he had to write it to the court and justify why they want to implement the revenue authority, and then he says, listen, if we don't do it now, by 2027, the country will be bankrupt. Yes, he Imbert, having recently painted a glowing picture. And of course, he said 2027, not by accident, because he wants the flux of time to make it logical and common sense. So 24, 25, 26. So he gave you a time that will sound a little more palatable. But clearly, the immediacy, the imperative to find a source of cash flow, you are seeing it on a daily basis in this country. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised, because I think they have already announced another amnesty for income tax. But I'm sure that they are concocting other schemes in order to extract cash. They are busy trying to sell to anybody who could provide a reasonable, but unreasonable for us, but reasonable for them, in order to just tidy them over, possibly until the elections. But as Wade Marker said, they are constrained, because the longer they take, the constitutional requirement to call an election would be upon them. So they are delaying as much as they can, but eventually they'll have to face the music. And there is where the population will now understand that the government has collapsed, and has collapsed the economy, and have collapsed our society, and therefore we have a duty and responsibility to generate the remedial measures. And the only tool we have at our disposal is our index finger and the inevitable elections. I was taping a clip just before I came on about Maduro in Venezuela, and it has all the possibilities that a Rowley Tiffin government, Tiffin election government, would want to implement, and I want us to, of course, share that. But obviously, I wouldn't be able to do it again tonight. I will close as soon as we either get the next call or in a few minutes, because I'm a bit tired. I have had a very hectic week. So, and then of course I want to beg of you, and tomorrow I'll be doing the same. That young man who, age 15, who passed away as a result of a congenital heart issue, to which he was subjected to a operation on his heart that clearly was not totally successful, because he died at age 15. His parents are yet to get his funeral expenses covered. And I'm asking, and I will be doing so tomorrow, and be asking Andy to participate in this venture, to at least get to that funeral resource, that funeral money, so that that young man could at least be buried in peace. All right? So I'll be giving you an announcement. I'll be giving you the details after this call. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Pleasant good night, Mr. Lennox.
Pleasant good night as well, my friend. Did you hear?
And pleasant good night to the right-thinking citizen of this beloved
Did you hear Wade Mark? Did you hear Wade Mark presentation?
Well, I now was going to tell you that the Honorable Distinguished Senator,
yes, boy,
was very informative.
Yeah. Definitely.
And I must say, like always, and he break it down for who couldn't understand.
Oh, yes.
Understand what it is taking place, or what already take place in our country by this demon, this gangster squad that we have in this country.
Yes.
But one thing I called to say, Mr. Lennox, I'm a little late because I had a hectic day.
Okay.
But I must say that anytime you hear my distinguished leader speak, or anybody from her cabinet, or from her party. She just go on a platform and she just speak. I don't hear nobody saying that they want a sushi. But when she explained the $11 billion with the waste, she went on her platform and speak it. She didn't speak it inside the parliament to get parliament privilege, like how the outgoing administration does go and talk in parliament because they want parliament protection for the lies.
Yeah, for lies, yes, yes. And I hope that the sycophants and it will stick like mortar mixed with soap water. But go ahead.
That is so correct. But anytime you hear anybody from Kamala Prasad Nishasha party in the opposition, they just speak like Anna Roberts, the Honorable Senator Mr. Weidmark, and all of them who is fighting for the betterment of Trinidad and Tobago. They just come outside the parliament and speak. So I say that to say this. When Fail Gerald Swine and all these bunch of misfits speaking in the parliament, I want them to come outside the parliament and speak and say these things that they'll be saying outside the parliament. Like how my distinguished leader,
thin-skinned, they are hollow. They're not going to do that.
Outside the parliament.
Yeah.
And nobody want the sushi. So you know everything she speak there about this $10 billion
Yes.
is the damn well truth.
That's right.
So that is all I have to say, Mr. Lennox.
All she has said so far, all the
Saturday.
Yeah.
Please God.
Yes, yes, my friend. All the breaking news and all of the whistleblowers information that you have gotten from, of course, Delcy Rodriguez, the Sandals prior, all of them turned out to be gospel truth. Rowley and all started with lies, especially with respect to the very blatant, with respect to the Police Service Commission and his involvement. He started by saying no and trying to use obfuscation and circumlocution. And then when, of course, she found a way to pull him out from that, what I consider to be exposed cover. It's an oxymoron, but I think it's appropriate. Exposed cover, because cover normally will not expose you, but he hides below exposed cover. When, of course, she was able to get him, to get the president to be impeached. He then come out and say, it's me. First time in the history of Trinidad and Tobago, a ceremonial president was on the verge, or at least the constitutional framework and setup was triggered to impeach her. He only jump up and say, I don't know what they did it for. That poison, that beast in human form. But I was going back before we close, people, to Mr. Young Joseph Sandy, and Mr. Mark Sandy is his father. I'll leave in a number for you to contact him. Please, we really would like to see some good Samaritan out there help with the funeral arrangements. You could call him right now. They are having a semblance of a week. And look how long since last week, Friday. And he's there only because they can't find the money, and the Ministry of Social Development has blanked them. I tried to get Hines because he's a member of his constituency, to no avail. So the number to call, 474-3488, 474-3488. Let me repeat that. 474-3488 if you're going to get a pen or pencil to take note, if your memory is like mine, not susceptible to remembering numbers, so I always have to write it down. So let me say it again. 474-3488, 474-3488. Anybody, wherever you are, just call Mr. Mark Sandy and pledge your contribution, commitment to making certain that this young man, very nice when he was alive, nice, very, lively and all of that, never felt that he was not a youth, even though he had these congenital complexities that would have, of course, impacted on his physical development. But nonetheless, he went to school, so he was in the Mobile Aventil Secondary, going to school. But unfortunately, he met his demise. Oh, what a tragedy. So I'm hoping that people will be able to, somebodies out there will be able to chip in and assist Mr. Mark Sandy. You can call him now, 474-3488, 474-3488. In fact, this incident has moved us to such a degree that my wife decided to go up by the family tonight to, of course, just to console them and to, if possible, guide and receive call if necessary, in order to assist that particular family. Very humble people, poor, but this expenditure came up on them very unexpected. And a typical funeral is what, $14,000 and counting $1,000. I will be making another intervention tomorrow as far as the level of the funeral home, to see whether or not they might want to, of course, reduce the cost, hoping that between tonight and tomorrow that that Good Samaritans really heed this call. Right? So people, have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. I'm extremely tired, but had to do what I had to do. I want to thank once again Senator Wade Mark. We will try to get endorsing on Saturday. Yes, I say Saturday because tomorrow is Friday, and therefore I take my sabbatical as per usual. Because, of course, as they say, all work and no play make Jack a dull boy, but all play and no work make Jack a mere toy. And I am neither of them. And so, of course, we have to balance it. And if I don't, as my mother would say, walk though dead, is man that's dead. And clearly, I am a man. I am not walk. So, that being as it may, have a wonderful rest of the night. Don't forget tomorrow morning, the ground report, Andy, Mike, and myself, as we continue with these and other areas. Let me just take you out as well with, of course, a statement, a news clipping, in fact, that I would like to share with you. I want to share with you. So let's say it now.
He referred to Imbert, Young and Hines as the former finance minister, new political leader, and outgoing.
Yeah.
The Prime Minister is currently in the U.S. undergoing routine medical checks. Young has been appointed to act as Prime Minister in Dr. Rowley's absence.
Dynamic.
This is Young's second stint as acting Prime Minister. He previously acted in the post in July, while Rowley was attending a CARICOM Heads of Government conference in Grenada. Before Young's current and previous stints as acting Prime Minister, Imbert acted as Prime Minister during Rowley's absence. Referred to Imbert, Young and Hines as the former finance minister, new political leader, and outgoing. The Prime Minister is currently in the U.S. undergoing routine medical checks. Young has been appointed to act as Prime Minister in Dr. Rowley's absence.
So this is Young's
second stint as acting Prime Minister. He previously acted in the post in July, while Rowley was attending a CARICOM Heads of Government conference in Grenada. Before Young's current and previous stints as acting Prime Minister, Imbert acted as Prime Minister during Rowley's absence since the PNM was re-elected in August 2020. The outgoing comment attributed by Mark to Hines is consistent with ongoing calls by the UNC for him to be fired as National Security Minister for his failure to deal with crime. Mark's comments prompted Leader of Government Business Dr. Amory Brown to complain to De Freitas that Mark was making insinuations against Imbert,
is President of the
Young,
Senate.
and Hines. Brown called upon Mark to cease and desist. Mark declared, "I want a general election." Opposition senators thumped their desks in support. De Freitas told Mark, "It is not about what you want." He reminded all senators about the basic procedure for posing and answering oral questions. De Freitas also told them of the fixed time for this exercise and to adhere rigidly to this process. Answering the question which Mark put to him, Imbert said his political track record speaks for itself. At least I have won 9 consecutive general elections. Imbert has served as an elected MP since 1991. The next general election is constitutionally due by next August. The law allows a 3-month period after that, in which the election can be called. This means next November is the ultimate period within which the election can legally happen. 1991. The next general election is constitutionally due by next August. The law allows a 3-month period after that, in which the election can be called. This means next November is the ultimate period within which the election can legally happen.
Let's go again.
1991.
Listen again.
The next general election is constitutionally due by next August. The law allows a 3-month period after that, in which the election can be called. This means next November is the ultimate period within which the election can legally happen. He referred to Imbert, Young and Hines as the former finance minister, new political leader, and outgoing. The prime minister is currently in the U.S. undergoing routine medical checks.
So people, of course, next November, next year, in other words, not November coming next year, the PNM will have no choice but to call elections, right? So I thought it was important, as was stated by Wade Mark today, so you learned something about the construct and the legal parameters for the 5-year ensuing of any government that is in office. And in this particular case, November next year, elections must be called. So, or should I say, not just be called, but be executed. All right? So, have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. And we continue, of course, to look at these and other issues on the Ground Report tomorrow morning. I want to thank once again Senator Wade Mark for his sterling contribution and his presence on the Corridor Transformation tonight.
I don't want to be left out of Zion Gate. I don't want to be left out of Zion Gate. I don't want to be shut out of Zion Gate. I need you to live in His love and feel Jah alone can give my satisfaction. Fill my heart with love. Jah alone can give my satisfaction. Fill my heart with love. When the sun's got to look around.
All of the Prime Minister to do something about crime. I'm not in your bedroom, I'm not in your choice of men. You're losing the war against the criminal element. But you hold the government accountable. And the government must be held accountable. The country is awash in blood. There isn't a news item in this country where there isn't a good chance that a major part of the news is who killed who.
I'm a shining rainbow beyond the frosty clouds. You know, Jah alone can give my satisfaction. Fill our heart with love, people of creation. Jah alone can give my satisfaction. Fill our heart with love. Nothing is wrong that Jah made. Everything is perfect. And He